Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, this is Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
This is Gaston.
And this is Justin.
Hey, so we're back from NoVA. Yay!
Yay!
Everybody on the chat either played in NoVA. I even played 2 games. Or they
You played in the team tournament, didn't you?
I did. I played in the team tournament. I played one game, and then we had a bye, so I played a second game with a friend.
Well, don't let him give himself too much credit, because before the tournament even started, they're like, hey, we need some help with someone, and he was like, I'll drop.
Look, another person...
Again, this is the second team tournament you've tried to drop before it started.
A person wanted to be on a team. I had told my team I had to leave at 7 o'clock. I had a hard stop. I had to leave at 7 because I had to go to work the next morning at 5. So I was going to give another person an opportunity to play, but my team was perfectly fine knowing that I was going to have to leave at 7 o'clock. So
they actually, even with you leaving, did not place last or anything.
That's awesome. Go us.
I think they're like 18 out of 21.
Yeah, something like that. It went as bad as it could have been.
So the team was called Better Than a Bye, and Devin still gave us a bye. So very, very disappointing for me.
It's right up there with, they had 2 team ramrods that caused a lot of confusion.
Oh my god. Yeah,
So, no. That caused so much confusion that we almost had, if it hadn't been for the mollywoppers, that, basically fixed the problem through just natural, just winning, we would have had a real big issue.
Yeah, so anyway, so kind of for this podcast, I kind of thought we would all just talk about our experiences in NoVA. Before we do get into that, though, I do just want to make a quick comment. If any of you guys have been paying attention to Facebook over this past weekend, Josh from Chain Attack, his son, has been in the hospital. He had found out on Friday night that he had a massive tumor in his brain. They've had surgery. Things seem to be going well, but just give your guys good vibes to Josh and the guys over at Chain Attack. So
yeah, that's really rough.
That is very sad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for him.
At least it looks like it's slow but surely positive, so that's good. But yeah, let's jump into NoVA. So I guess I kind of have the shortest amount of games. So are you guys okay if I jump in and do it first?
I honestly think you're incorrect.
Oh, well, sorry. Devin had the shortest amount of games, but Devin was also there longer than anybody else.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, I got there Sunday, and I left the next Sunday.
Yeah, you were there for 8 days total, with only 15 hours of sleep between the 8 days?
Yep.
All right. I am not going to complain at all about not being able to sleep then this entire cast, 'cause that's ridiculous.
That's just
Yeah, I was pretty messed up after one day.
I know. I was exhausted after my one day.
Justin, you were there the whole time. What would you say, even with the lack of sleep, how would you say the convention and the whole event was run?
I mean, it was fantastic. It was spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing to say bad about it. I really enjoyed it. I thought overall, I mean, I always like going to NoVA Open. It's a pretty close con. My issue has always been just I work for a chip company, and people buy chips on Labor Day weekend. So for me, it's always very hard to get off during that time. Other than that, man, I think the convention it's really fun. It's a blast. But yeah, so I guess just really quick. So I'll just talk about mine. So like I said, I did a team tournament. That's a luckily, well, I guess not luckily. So I came in there. A team person had they had a person that had to drop last minute. So I jumped on a team, and on my first game, top of 2, I got assassinated, which was not good. I was playing...
Which caster?
So I was playing Lock in Convergence, so I had all my shield guards and everything, and I was playing against Gaston Cross. And something I didn't take into account was I had lined all my jacks up in front of me, so I only had one shield guard close. You need to have more than one shield guard around you, because there's a thing called Shadow Fire, and he shadow fired one of my jacks and was able to get commandos and cross into me to kill my caster. So shame on me. That was really bad and super embarrassing.
But you still had fun.
But I still had fun, yeah. And then we ended up getting a bye. So not to give too many details, but we actually did record a game. So Josh down from Fredericksburg, we actually did a game where we played Crucible Guard, where I played Locke, versus Grimkin, where he played the Dreamer. So hopefully that'll get edited. We can get it out in someone in the next couple weeks or so. So anyone who's listening to the podcast can watch it.
That's exciting.
Nice.
I know. So yeah,
I've always been curious to see the Dreamer. I've never seen Grimkin play her at all.
It was interesting. So it was actually my first game ever playing against Grimkin, which made it very interesting seeing their Arcana. And everything
So,
they could...
Isn't that a
sarcasm
big punch in the
she's,
dick?
She's the only one they play.
Oh, is she the only one that they play?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
well,
it's exciting that this was your first game versus them. And
Yeah,
Devin is right. She's the one that punches you in the dick.
so
It's so rough. You just don't expect it, and you're just like playing, and you're like, oh, Arcana, I know what happens. Let me read this. And then you're playing 90% of the game going, Jesus Christ, I don't want to do this, because as soon as I do this, they're going to stuff my shit back in.
See, in my mind, the way how I did it was, okay, if I force him to do it this turn, then I don't have to deal with it afterwards. So, like, the 3 he had chosen was all my models get knocked down after they kill a model. If I cast a spell, he negates spell and all my upkeeps go away, which is a really rough one for Locke. And the third one was if I kill a model, he can pop it to where everything else gets healed. So with that, I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just gonna focus kill all of your models.
Just to warn you there, it's not all your models get knocked down.
It's it's whenever the whatever model kills, that model gets knocked down.
Okay, because there's a huge difference in power level there.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no. Well, the way how I played that one, which I thought I could sneakily get around it, turns out you can't. But yeah, no, it was fun. It was a fun game.
Was it called an inverter?
No, I played Crucible Guard, so what I had thought was that I could just activate Prospero at the end and do instability equation on all my Warjacks to stand them up. But there was actually a rule that will not let you send a model up the same turn they are knocked down. So could not get past that.
Because otherwise then you could throw your models. Or you used to be able to throw your models. You can't power attack your own models anymore. So.
You cannot, no. So,
At one point in time, there was a beautiful snake toss.
Thank God that went away.
You can still throw your models with Bosun.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
You can still pitch your models if you really wanted to.
But yeah,
That's actually a pretty popular play by some important players. They'll just Bosun and then pitch Gorton board and then Veet.
That's pretty awesome. But yeah,
That's kind of hilarious.
I had fun. I had a blast playing my Crucible Guard. I had a blast because I got to play the Vulcan, and I also got to play Mark, both that are not released until October, so something you couldn't play in the tournament. But since we were recording a game, as long as I had the painted models, that's what I played because it was free play. So I feel like it made a huge difference in the ability to play Crucible Guard.
And I warned you that the Vulcan is really good.
The Vulcan is a lot better than I gave it credit for. I really thought the Vulcan was not going to be impressive. But anyways, enough about my stuff. You guys actually had significantly more exciting stuff going on at NoVA. So who wants to jump in next?
I vote Herman.
Yeah, you go, Herman. You were there for a bit.
Yeah, I was there for the second least amount of time because independent of the way it was run, it's always on Labor Day weekend, which is just not a great weekend for being free for things. But I managed to pop into the team tournament. I played with Circle and Merc Summit team, so we were Wood-Fired Bacon for Sale. Is our team name.
That is a true story. They were, in fact, Wood-Fired Bacon for sale.
That's awesome.
We wanted to encompass everything. So we did pretty good. We finished 4th place, I think, with going 3-1. And I believe every person on the team went 3-1 as well. So I was playing Rask Meat Thresher with Jaga Jaga as my pairing, and I managed to get in round 1 was against Krios 2 in Exemplar Interdiction that got jogged. And then I ended up losing a really close game to Thagrosh 1 for the second round. That was with Rask. And then Rask versus Child, so that was my Grimkin matchup for the day. And then the final one was ironically Rask versus Convergence Lock. And that was the one that happened at like 10 o'clock at night. and I got Brian all buffed up and shot him all the way across the board into a Prime Axiom on top of turn 2. And then I'm like, I didn't put Rage on you. Oops.
Ooh, that's an issue.
That was a lot of an issue. So instead of Prime Axiom dying, Prime Axiom did not die. And in some fairness to Brian, like, Brian was still rolling like a champ even without the buff, and it got him down to, like, I think high single digits in wounds.
Damn, that's pretty damn good.
So
And
I was like,
that
I
on
can't...
feet or not on feet?
That was on Rask's feet turn.
Okay, but it wasn't on Locke's feet turn.
No. No, I was trying to pop the Prime Axiom before Locke popped feet.
Makes sense. That
And I could have
really
done
good.
it if I was smart. So he ended up killing off Brian, a Whore, and a Meat Thresher, all on Rask's feet turn, which is not a happy moment for me. So I paid him back with a snake.
Nice.
Yeah, the snake, I think...
Which you did not throw at him.
No, he was just in charge range of the snake. So the snake just charged and killed Locke down. Go snake. It's a thing. But that was my tournament experiences in a nutshell.
Nice. Fun.
Yeah, I had a good time. I'm kind of looking to getting to the other side of NoVA now that I don't have to actually practice for a team, and I can go back to experimenting and being a special swamp flake again.
Oh my god. I need you to start playing Minoth again so I can see some Sevi Zero and really get upset about it.
I don't own Sevi Zero.
I mean, you can just play against Justin and have the same effect.
I mean, does it help that I do own 2 Judicators and High Reclaimer?
Does it help that you're a bad person? No. But it's,
I
don't know.
do own 2 Adjudicators now.
you do?
You see? Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I'm not sure if Rask would handle that well or not.
Did you get one of those? Did you get one of those during Nova?
Yeah, I got my second Adjudicator during NoVA. I got it off of Dan because he didn't want it, so I
His
just bought it
teammate
off.
hooked him up.
Nice.
Is it the plastic one or the resin one?
It's the Adjudicator Revelator kit, so I think it's
Yeah,
the...
perfect.
Yeah, it's the brand new kit.
Yeah, it turns out Double Hand of Fate's kind of good.
It is. I don't like that it is, but it is.
Well, someone's got to sell those huge base models.
Yeah, one way or another. Gotta get them sold.
Right on.
Well, why don't you talk about how busted ass shit your lists are?
Yeah, man, why don't you talk about us how awesome your experience was at Nova Open?
Oh, Devin, can you go
Let's
first?
think
I'm
of Korea.
literally still trying to write down a list of all the games that I played. So,
Let's be honest, Justin. At one point, somebody came up to the table, and they were reporting their games, and the one guy went, "Man, that really sucked." And he said, "Oh, who did you play into?" And he named off the list, and the guy went, "Oh, okay." He says, "Well, you think that was bad? You should have played into Justin Dew and his bullshit list."
Wow, Justin
Nice.
is
That
worse
is
than
that
bad.
was a quote, and I was like, "Oh, really now?"
Okay, I guess I'll start off. I'm only up to champions right now, but all right. So I had an awesome Nova. It was great. I had a lot of really good games. 3 of them really stood out, and I guess I'll get to them in a second here. Actually, technically 4 of them really stood out. So in teams, I was on the Virginia half of the Molly Whoppers, where we, as the entire meta of the Molly Whoppers, we're trying to send 2, hopefully 3 teams to the ATC. But currently, I think there's 12 of us that are super interested, and 10 of those 12 are already on 2 teams already. So we wanted to make a great showing here at NoVA, both in individual events but also team events. And since there were 12 of us, we were able to. I mean, Herman's half of the team was also in this Molly Whoppers chat too, so we considered them part of the entire group here. But we fielded,
Aww.
yeah, absolutely. We fielded an entire 4 teams of 3 in the team tournament. So we try to step up a little bit here. But anyways, our team, the Virginia half of the Molly Whoppers, which was myself, Danny, and Donnie, ended up playing against our Maryland half, I guess. It was with Gibbs, Anthony Gibbs, Drew, and Chris Dunn. And so the matchups were really, really awkward, and the teams was like, this is like a usual day of practice. I ended up getting paired up against Gibbs. I think we both went into it thinking that it was favored Sloan. It was the matchup was Sloan High Reclaimer, and Gibbs ended up pulling that one out with through attrition. He was able to end Adjudicator after about 2.5 rounds of shooting into it. There were some spikes, and I think I should have passaged instead of trying to play that Adjudicator for attrition. But that's my first round. And I was a little bummed because I thought, like, Sloan's been kind of terrorizing Menoth. At least my play experience it's been terrifying for Menoth to play into. I mean, we have certain casters that can kind of deal with her, but not ones that you really want to pair with Harpy and still have an open matchup set. But I shook it off. Next round, I got paired into Maylock. And I had already practiced this match with Mark Mail. It turned out even better against somebody who's never played against Adjudicator before. The double-handed Adjudicator, one round of shooting took out an entire unit of Gators under feet turn, lit another unit of Gators on fire, and almost killed one of his 2 beasts. And then I just jammed with the errants and popped mini feet so they can't be mortality. So I just self-sacked everything in the way. He killed a bunch of errants. I self-sacked a bunch. This next round of shooting, I took out both the beasts, another unit of Gators, left Maylock on 2 and on fire. Fire didn't go out on his turn, and Maylock just died.
I'm kind of surprised he dropped Maylock into you, like, at all.
Yeah, so the funny thing was that, like, the single Judicator list has, like, 3 units of Knights Exemplar and a unit of Errants and Gravis and all this, like, stupid poop that you put in the middle of the board. So I don't know if Arcadius is actually good into that matchup, which was his other pairing. Against a double Judicator, I can definitely see, like, there being a lot more leeway because you only have 1 unit of Errants to kind of, like, play around with, and you have to feed them back, and I'm not even sure you can with enough room for play tag.
Well, I mean, if you're playing with, like, the double Roadhog Scareth Arcadius, then you have enough sprays to kind of work your way through the infantry. But I don't think Maylock can even crack a Judicator.
Yeah, no. I mean, the match that I played against Mark Mail, when you're going to get hit by a couple of charges, but, they threat 11 inches, right? And the Judicator spray is 10, so anything that you put in the Judicator is like 11 inches in front of the Judicator is going to walk up and kill all of them, so...
And they're POW 13s, they're dice off 6.
The POW 15s, actually, because you battle and then you Sevi 0. Yeah, so it's POW 16s, right? No, sorry, POW 15s.
Sorry, I meant the posse.
Yeah. So when they,
it's not like the posse are really scaring him.
Yeah,
because you're just going to prevent him from casting mortality on the Judicator.
And then round 3, I got put into Scar 1. My team it was kind of a test. I said that, like, again, I'm not going to be able to drop Harbinger. My pairing, by the way, was Harbinger and High Reclaimer, and this whole weekend is a, like, funny story for Harbinger and a terrible, like, me having to play High Reclaimer a whole bunch. So I'm happy that the list is super powerful and it works, and I'm not going to complain about it, but I'm also going to be a little begrudgingly because I want to play Harpy. I don't want to play High Reclaimer. But all that being said, I can't drop Harpy into Scar 1, especially the double Wraith Engine, multiple Stalker build. The Dark Guidance with Stalkers, being able to jump in the back arc of Monks, having Grievous Wounds is just a bad matchup for Harbinger. And so, apparently, I don't need magical weapons to kill, like, Wraith Engines and a bunch of, like, like the Scar Stalkers don't really scare me all that much in that list. It was a pretty bad matchup. It ended up basically Adjudicator ran the table after a while, and I won on attrition and scenario. And then the final match was the funny story with the 2. What was it? I love Ramrod and Team Ramrod and Team I love Ramrod. The confusion was that one of the teams had reported...
No. Let me tell this part.
All right.
My frustration and anger at this is unrivaled. So we have two teams that come into the team tournament called Team Ramrod, and then a following team called We Love Team Ramrod. But the issue is that every single time they would come up, it would be a different person reporting the team. And for most of the games, I would catch on, oh, it's Team We Love Ramrod. But the issue is that when someone would come up a report, they would say Team Ramrod. So it's one round during the, 5 rounds?
4 rounds.
4 rounds. During the 4-round event, I think it was 3rd round, Team We Love Ramrod came up, and basically when they were asked what points they were, putting in, it just got kind of switched where Team Ramrod and Ramrod got marked, and when they went back and stuff, it basically meant that Team Ramrod actually took the loss, and Ramrod and Team We Love Ramrod took a win because of how it was incorrectly put into the system, and therefore going into the 4th round, we really needed the Mollywoppers to beat Team Ramrod in order to fix the issue, be the pair down, and basically end the night early, which they did, in fact, do.
Jesus, that's why would they not just say their full team name?
I don't know, and it was one of those.
I don't
things
think that they knew that there was another Ramrod.
They did. They did know it was Ramrod because they were like, "We love Team Ramrod."
Well, I mean that's a true statement.
So they would come up, and we would ask, and as I said, one of my other helpers during the weekend was the one reporting the information. They came up and he said, which team won, or which team, all this information. They were like, oh, Ramrod, and it went right to it because their name was We Love Team Ramrod. The Team Ramrod part came off, so it was like as soon as you saw Ramrod, it was a confusion. We were able to get it fixed. No issues, no cause of delay. They would have been the pair down probably anyways. So thankfully they ended the night early for us.
Jesus,
it's impressive
man.
how much Super Troopers has managed to ruin the nerd meta.
I know.
So the final match, I actually was the loss on the team. We went 2-1 into that. I played into Callus 1. I played High Reclaimer. I think it was a pretty even matchup going in there. There's still a lot of things about that matchup that I really need to think about and how to play. But I got out attritioned and I lost on scenario because I couldn't get the Judicator up enough to do enough work against that. I can trivially remove Hellmouths, which says something, but
that's pretty gross.
Primal Terrors is one of those things, especially with Callus as well, and Callus going first, really, really hard to get back into the zone, especially with the slower list where you're juggling 2 or, in my case, only 1 Colossal even, but especially even with the 2 Colossal lists, it was kind of difficult. So this is still a puzzle that I'm trying to solve, really. A lot of the Canadians believe that a High Reclaimer, double Judy, and even single Judy just tables PT, but either there are a lot better PT players in our meta and that showed up for NoVA, or there's something I'm missing about the matchup, probably that one, because, Chris Orr is an awesome Legion player up there in Canada, so I'm going to have to talk to some people and try to figure out that matchup. The next day, I woke up and went to Masters Qualifier 1. I was so out of it, and I was really groggy. And then when the round 1 pairings came up, I got paired into Anthony Gibbs again, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me right now!"
Yes.
I don't want to play into Sloan again.
That's rough.
But
I'm
I
so
pulled
happy
that
right
one
now.
out. I pulled that one out in the Revenge Grudge match. I think I had a lot.
Justin,
Yep.
we never pull out.
It's true. This is America. We never pull out.
I was able to position a little better. The terrain was a lot more favorable for me. We both, again, went in thinking that it was, still favorable for Sloan, but also because the board was so open, I thought that this is just going to be even worse. So, like, there's nowhere to hide now. But I was able to kind of position a little better and actually really utilize the feat to get 2 Minutemen, which I think was Gibbs's positioning mistake that I punished pretty hard for. But because there was nowhere to hide, Kane Zero, like, ran over and tried to, like, stealth himself next to Ace, but it didn't matter because I had Rovin. And so I just out of sight and just shot Kane Zero off the board. So immediately, 13 points of his list is just gone.
Nice.
And he just had an inert Jack in his zone, and he had to fight back on scenario for that, and ended up winning at the end. Unfortunately, that crushed all of Gibbs's dreams of making it into Masters Finals, and it was really sad because he was gunning for that since he already won Champions at Gen Con. He was really just looking for a qualifier spot for Warmachine Weekend. So
I'm
I
liking
feel bad
how hard
about that.
you're laughing about crushing his dream.
I know. Just
I really shouldn't. But,
And you're still doing it. You
and
haven't
you can't stop laughing at him. It's hurtful.
No, it was
watch
great,
out. He's a
though.
lawyer.
I don't think he's a lawyer, is he?
And this, folks, is how we lose subscriptions.
Just
No, I
Gibbs
think-
rage quitting.
I think still that it is favored Sloan, that particular matchup. He just needs to be a little better on his positioning. And I think if the terrain even has anywhere for some of his key pieces to hide, I think he's very safe. So next round I played into Matt McWaters from Canada. This matchup was Scar 3 versus Harbinger. I'm going to toot my horn a little bit here, and I got compliments from him saying that it was the second best game he's ever played all year, and that I was an extremely great Harbinger player. So I'm going to take that. And I feel like Matt McWaters and I are buddies now. Maybe he'll disagree. But I feel like we had a really good game. It went down to basically it was going to go down to at the bottom of turn 7. What was happening was that it was going to be 7-7 control points, and then it's going to come down to army points destroyed, and he was definitely winning in that category. So the only option I had was to tough Harbinger, put a monk into his zone, and hope that the 17 or 16 or maybe 18 attacks that he could put into the monk would all miss, or the ones that would hit I would be able to martyr and tough out of. It ended up being that he hit too many times on the monk that I had to martyr down to the situation where I thought it might happen, and I would have to tough Harbinger to keep martyring. And I failed my first tough roll on Harbinger and ended up killing Harbinger by doing so. The game got to that state because I kind of evaluated the game playing for turn 7 scenario when I should have evaluated the game playing for turn 5-5-0 scenario win, which if I concentrated that a little more, I wouldn't have had to have depended on a boosted 7 to win 5-0 on scenario. I ended turn 5 at around 4-0 scenario, and there was one Slaughter Fleet troll dude in a zone that a Hammerdorf missed that boosted 7 on. So I think it's actually very favorable to Harbinger, and I got compliments on my positioning and things like that. So it was a fantastic game. I then got paired into Ostrom, another game. I think his name was Anthony Ferraconi or something. Slightly older gentleman, but we had a great game.
Are you talking about Redhead?
Yeah, he has
Big-
redhead. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody calls him Big Red.
Wait, he's playing Convergence, right?
It was Ostrom, so it was Mercs. He
okay.
had Ostrom and Connie, and the matchup became out to be High Reclaimer and Ostrom. I had played the game probably 3 or 4 times that specific matchup before. The final determination before going to NoVA Open was that it was advantaged High Reclaimer slightly. And it panned out that way throughout the game. I think I just shoot off all the drillers on the incoming, and I don't take any damage, really. And as long as I protect pieces for my feet, he has no RFP, so I just win the attrition match and then end up winning the scenario. But it was still a long game. We had both like a combined total of maybe 2 to 3 minutes left on my clock, our clocks. So that was a win, and all 3 of these games like went down to the wire, to like either turn 6 or 7 or to time, pretty much. So my final match in Masters qualifiers, I was like completely drained already, and then I saw my pairing. I was paired up against he's gonna be really mad at me that I don't remember his name, because I played him 2 years in a row. But he was playing Kruger 2. He was playing Kruger 2 and Bradigus, and it was kind of funny because I was like really, really low energy, and he was really, really high energy, and he was really excited to play again. And I was like, I don't even want to think about this matchup right now. Kruger 2 versus Harbinger is the traditional matchup pairing that gets taken. It's a really, really like complicated, brainy matchup. It's on the Harbinger player to lose, kind of. The Kruger player can just sit back and just shave the army off over and over and over again. If the Harbinger player missteps at all, like, you have to keep a champion behind Harbinger, in Fort Harbinger, so they don't get pushed on the feet and she just doesn't die to all these gunshots. He ends up like trying to talk about the matchup pairing process, and I kind of avoid the conversation. I just audible completely into Harbinger, and he thinks I'm going to drop High Reclaimer, so he drops Bradigus, and that becomes a really, really bad match for Bradigus. He spent most of the time putting attacks into the monk, which he can't kill and doesn't generate synergy, and I purify off synergy anyways. It's just a mess for him, and he ends up conceding to me at like turn 4 with 20 minutes left on his clock. He just doesn't want to play anymore because he's put like at that point like 20 attacks in the monks. They've dodged all of them.
It's kind of a strange strategy.
Yeah.
No, it was. He definitely had not played into Harbinger monks before, and so this was his first experience. When I told him he was defense in the 18, I told him not to spray him, and he put like 1 sentry stone spray into him. I walked him into the other 2 sentry stones so they couldn't spray, and then he got really mad. He sent a little worldwide to come in and punch the monk. It missed. I walked into its back arc. He sent another beast to punch the monk. I was like, I put it on my clock, and I was like, I don't want to tell you how to play this game, but you should really stop putting like attacks into these monks. It's not with they're 3 points, man. They're not worth your time.
Oh man, that's always rough your first time.
Yeah.
Right. And so I made it into Masters Finals. Woohoo. The day following afterwards was the worst because it was 6 rounds of champions. Oh my god, it was awful. I played for that I played for that pairing Krios 3 and Malekith. I dropped Malekith only once in the first game against Siege 2. Siege and Triumph both stood next to their objective, got scourged, and the Judicator shot them off the board.
Awesome.
I had 0 control points in my entirety of champions until my very last match. Then I played against Tim Banky. He played Gristle 2 into Krios 3. He killed pretty much my entire army except for Krios 3 and a Redeemer and Zevi 0. And then he put Gristle in front of a beast. And I forced hammered Gristle into the beast and killed him with a Redeemer.
Nice.
And McWater.
Nobody likes your Redeemer.
That is very true.
Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Tim
There's
doesn't
no
really
history
like my
behind
Redeemer.
that commentary at all.
It was a funny thing that came up during that match too, because I had Fire Salvation in Krios's list, and apparently, like, it doesn't survive like bomber shots all that well. So both its arms are crippled, but it has Divine Inspiration with Krios now, and on my feet turn, I was able to death sentence the unit of champions. So Banky and I actually mathed it out. It's actually better for me not to boost with crippled arms. against like double reroll 2 dice, drop 1. It's actually better odds of me fishing for a 6 off of 4 dice than it is for me to actually boost.
Jesus.
Just, if anybody ever has crippled arms on a Divine Inspiration model and is able to get rerolls, just so you know. And if you
I think
need
he
to-
must have loved the opportunity to do that math.
He did. He was like, he paused the clock and put it on his time, and he was just like, after the match, we're gonna do this with Marc-Andre LeBlanc right now. Like, after the match, we're gonna do this. You decide what you want to do. And I was like, I'm just not gonna boost. Fuck it. I won that match, so I'm 2-0. I go round 3 into Brandon Andrews, who is playing Scorn at this convention. The match was Jalam into Krios 3. Great match. Both our dice were crazy through the roof. I killed an Archidon flying over 2 Idrians, needing hard 6s to hit, and they both hit and then killed the Archidon while they was coming in. I was able to... Yeah. I had
Is
already...
that mathematically possible?
I had already put a Force Hammer into that Archidon and slammed it over the Krayas in that Imperial Warhost list, and then I bombed the Krayas with Redeemers, just trying to win the range attrition. Because the problem with that list is he has like 5 combat heavies, I have 3, and then I have 1 support light, and he has 5 shooting lights to my 2 shooting lights. So I hate Creator's Might. Let that be on record. I hate Creator's Might. And so but the game is really interesting because Krios 3 can do work at the end of the game. So it very much felt like a battle box game. It just played at this like weird high level because it was Brandon Andrews and I had to be like super on point and I knew he was going to piece trade correctly. I got compliments saying that like I engaged in his army absolutely correctly. But what ended up happening was that obviously it gets down to like 1.5 heavies versus Krios. Krios has to go in and kill 1.5 heavies, and then Jalam just 2-shots him because he's not camping anything. And that's basically what happened. So I lost that match. So I'm 2-1 now. I go into Kruger 2 with a local, Ben Molina. Unfortunately, he puts a beast next to Kruger on his bottom of 1. And so on the top of 2, I end up running an Arc Node over, force hammering the beast into Kruger, knocking him down, walk the Redeemers outside of Windwall range, or Windstorm range, and shoot Kruger to death and get a top of 2 assassination.
Nice.
The following
I'm
match...
pretty okay with that, because Kruger just always tilts me. That's how I made sure the local circle player was on my team.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep.
Round 5 was into Zakova 1 Armored Core, and I don't have a good drop into that because Champions roster for Menoth kind of just dirtles up the board unless it's like Faithful Masses, and I couldn't play my Faithful Masses list into Zakova 1. So it was Krios 3 into Zakova 1, and I got 5-0'd on Scenario without literally doing anything. He got 1 army point killed. I had no army points killed. That's just how one-sided that match is under her.
So that actually really excites me because a couple weeks or maybe a month ago we were dojoing like casters for Armor Core, and I had thrown out Zerkova 1.
Zakova 1 is an amazing Armor Core caster. I think she's one of the better ones. I think the 2 in contention in my mind are Vlad 2 or her, just for the different things that they do. But Zakova 1 has always been... Yeah. Zakova 1 has always been, I think, since Mark 3, like one of the casters in Kador that I'm super interested in.
Well, yeah, because you like blondes.
Fair enough. And she's a Bond villain.
Jesus Christ.
She really is.
And the final match, I wanted to concede to Frank Scheibek, who's also a local here, but he refused because I had a coin and he wanted to challenge me for that. So I had to play into Armor Core again, this time Eurus 2, and I was able to win out 7-2 to Scenario.
Nice.
And really quickly, I know because I'm taking a really long time here, but the following day in Masters Finals, it wasn't really that exciting for me. It was really exciting for the other Mollywhoppers and what they did, because I played into an entirely Mollywhopper, finals in Masters. I played Mark Mail round 1, won that into Maylock. I played Ostrom, piloted by Danny. I lost that because of the same way I think the Sloan rematch played out. The scenario was better for him, and also the terrain was very open, and so I lost too much of my army on the incoming. Then I played Brad Park. It was Terminus against Harbinger. Harbinger died by martyring herself again because that was the only way I could win. I hate saying that, but that's true. And then I played against the Donnie Gallett's Fayana 2 into Harbinger again. We were trying to test some things because at that point in the match, for me, in Masters, was just, at this point, just experience. I needed the matchup experience more than I needed to want to play High Reclaimer 1 again.
So you ended 2-2 then?
I ended up a Masters final with a whopping 1-3 record, but still getting 5th place.
Nice. Well, that's still good. Congratulations on 5th place.
Yeah, so I want to give a big congratulations to all the Mall Whoppers. I think we did fantastic. And all the locals that made it into Masters finals, because out of the top 16, which was the 16 people in Masters finals, 8 of them were from Maryland and Virginia.
Which is awesome. And if you guys hadn't seen it, then JVM won 1st place for Masters. Danny, who's one of our great locals, he won 2nd place. And Donnie, who's War Machinist on the cast, he won 3rd place, which is amazing.
So a little bit of back information since I've been here silent for a minute. So out of the top 16 for Masters, 8 of them were from the local meta. When we dropped down to the top 8, 7 of the top 8 were from the local meta, kicking out Canada and a few other locations, people who traveled kind of far, with JVM being the only person not involved in basically the area to compete in the top 8.
That is awesome.
Good job, guys.
That is good stuff.
One of the Molly Whoppers teams, the one that I'm on, we took 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
That is just amazing.
So, yeah, it was pretty big. So I guess that just leaves me.
Yep.
So to make this as quick as possible, because we have a hard stop here at 9, to make it very simple, I got there to NoVA on Sunday after a few days of setup, getting everything ready, making sure we were prepared. We started NoVA Wednesday night with just some fun games. We did some new processes. I have to send out some major love to Jason Hauser, Zosha, and my co-lead, Jonathan LeClaire. We, not to pat us on our own backs, but we ran quite an exciting, daunting event. We had 100, I think our last count was right around 120 individual players, which was our biggest year yet. We ran multiple events with 2 Masters heats and a completely sold-out Champions event on Saturday. We actually took a huge shout-out to Conflict Chamber because we had, 3 computers set up?
Mm-hmm. I think
so.
Yeah,
you
guys had 3.
3 computers.
Yeah, we had 3 computers set up that players were able to register their lists a little bit early, or right before we started, Conflict Chamber registered. We were able to print them out and go from there. We finished 2 hours earlier this year than we have before with even more people. So that was fantastic. It's a really busy weekend. A huge shout out to Muse on Minis, Privateer Press, Broken Egg, and Tectonic Games for prize support. We had anywhere, I can't even begin to say a number, but our Iron Arena prize support was fantastic. We filled up an entire wall and 2 tables, not to mention that we gave out no less than 12 Colossals and Gargantuans, along with KR bags and everything else.
That's just amazing.
I mean, I know Jacob Van Meter left this weekend with 2 bags, no less than 3 Colossals, a Crix theme box, a Company of Iron starter box, a ton of terrain and other items, and that was just one person.
That's amazing. That's good for him.
terrifying that you gave Jake Van Meter a Crix box.
And
I'm just saying.
Yeah, he got a lot
Don't
of
be
stuff.
concerned. He actually sucks with every army that's not Legion.
But no, Jacob was great.
It's a true story.
And I think the best thing he brought to Nova was his lovely lady Zosha, who was a huge help and just a rock throughout the entire convention. My own experience, I didn't play a single game because I was trying to focus on keeping everything running smoothly. I did get to play Arcadia Quest with some friends, which was a blast. I took some painting classes, including a 3-day very intensive class with German painter Roman Lapat. I also took a buff class with Alfonso Heraldez from Spain. And I actually I decided to I painted and entered a Borka bust this year and actually took a gold medal and best in category with it. So
congratulations, man.
Congrats, man. That's amazing.
It was a really rough time, and it was funny because I ran upstairs, went to the award ceremony, and then immediately ran back upstairs and finished out Masters.
That is awesome.
But we had a brand new Thunderdome table, which was pretty cool.
It lit up.
It was very
Did
fancy.
it really?
Yes.
I didn't get a chance. Oh my goodness. All right. I'm really sad I missed that.
I posted it on our Facebook, so you can see it in all of its glowing glory.
And the lights changed colors, and it would flash and stuff depending on whose turn it was if we set it. And we played. I know there was at least 6 8-man Thunderdome games on there, and then there was one very extensive 16-man Thunderdome game played on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some big plans for next year, including like a kids machine tournament and hopefully a very Boar's Gate-esque narrative event we're going to run.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah,
Very
so
cool.
I mean, it was exciting. It was a lot of fun, and I know getting home last night at 2:30 in the morning and unpacking literally my entire car of stuff. It's just been great. Huge thanks to Nova for always allowing us to do that. It's just been, and I mean, it was really nice for me to see all of my friends, come and compete, and, having Tim Banky and others come down from Canada, and people come over from the West Coast, and Jacob come down from, farther north, and just, people playing good. I mean, all of our players were great. We had no issues with cheating. We had no issues with rules disputes. There was a few judges' calls, but nothing that was horrible. And it was just all around a really good time. And, I really think we got a lot of people talking. And hopefully going into this next year, we can beat that 120.
Yeah, hopefully, man.
Well, and I think it's kind of a nice thing about cons is they're both exhausting and refreshing. Like, you're always wiped out by the end of the event, but, at least for me, like, you come out of it, like, really excited about playing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that was fun. Like, even a limited amount of time that I got to play this past weekend, I had such a blast, so revitalized, so waiting to go and, like, put more models on the table and playing more. So I think it was a success for that aspect.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And I mean, I was glad to see you. And we had we had a decent amount of the cast there. We had myself, Gaston, we had Tony, we had Pokey, we had
Kevin.
Galdark, we had Soulless at one point.
Oh, I didn't know he did come out. That's awesome.
He was there a little bit Wednesday. So.
Wait, he came out? Oh, okay, on Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah. He came out a little bit Wednesday. But otherwise, yeah, it was great. And hopefully, some more of our listeners and stuff will be able to make it next year. Something I do want to ask them, if anybody is interested in coming, events that they would like to see or ideas they have, because we're always looking to make it bigger and better.
Yeah. All right, guys, before we sign off, anyone got any last-minute things you want to say? All right. So, guys, thank you very much for listening to the cast. Thank you for listening to another episode of Turn Extension. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Bye.